I read 7 books in the month of May, and that included 2 nonfictions. And one of these books was hands down the best book that I have read this entire year. Let's talk about it. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Lydia Kyle. I am a book lover, book collector, and avid reader who loves to share honest reviews of the books that I read. Whether I am sent PR from publishing companies, or I just pick something up off the shelf, or I grab it from Kindle Unlimited, I am going to give you an honest review of what I thought. I read 7 books in the month of May. Like I said in the introduction, I'm going to give you a breakdown of all 7 of those books. But if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, like this video, and let me know in the comments what you are reading right now. I would love to know what you're reading right now and whether or not you're enjoying it. And then at the end, I want to know if you've read any of the books that I read this month. First up, we have Ghosts of the Tsunami, which is written by Lloyd Parry, who is a journalist. This is a nonfiction about life and death in Japan's disaster zone from the 2011 tsunami that struck the coast of Japan. This was an interesting read. I'm not entirely sure I enjoyed it per se, but I would recommend reading it, especially if you remember that historic event, if you remember that natural disaster, because a lot of us remember that natural disaster simply because of the nuclear reactors. So that became world news that the nuclear reactors in Japan were affected by the tsunami. But this is not about that. This is about the people who were in the actual flood and disaster zone. And it's really, really interesting because this is a side of the story that we didn't get on the news. So I can't say I enjoyed this, like it wasn't the most captivating nonfiction that I've ever read, but I am glad that I read it. Next up, we have the Nytefall Trilogy, book 1 and 2 by Chloe Peñaranda. I do not understand why these are not more popular. Not only are these books beautiful in their physical form, like let's talk about those sprayed edges, these books are beautifully written. If you love fantasy romance, you need to read these books. I loved these books. If you're in a book hangover For Blood and Ash, you need to read this. If you're in a book hangover from Throne of Glass, you need to read this. If you're in a book hangover from Quicksilver, you need to read this. Like, you catch my drift. If you are in a book hangover from any of the major romantasy series, this is going to fix it. It's beautifully written. It's got beautiful prose. The characters are incredible and very well developed. I absolutely loved the plot. I loved the pace of the romance, and I just was so captivated all the way through. Also, I'm going to show you, not only does it have these beautiful sprayed edges, look at what is underneath the dust jacket. This is just the regular schmegular Amazon hardcover. Both copies have this amazing art underneath the dust jacket. I can't imagine how many people have this book and don't realize that this is under the dust jacket. I love this series. I didn't love the second one as much as I loved the first. I'm just going to tell you that up front. The first one got me so excited. I was so into it. I was definitely just like totally brought into the world and the world building of this story. The second one, I didn't love it as much. I would give the first one a 10 out of 10. I would give the second one maybe a 6.5 or a 7 out of 10. But the third one comes out in December, and I am really looking forward to finishing this trilogy. Highly recommend. If you love fantasy, if you love fantasy romance, you definitely need to check out the Nytefall Trilogy. This first one is called The Stars Are Dying, and that's where you need to start. Next up, we have the second nonfiction of the month. This is called All the Living and the Dead, and it's by Hayley Campbell. This was not what I expected, but I loved it. This was so educational. It was so well written. Nonfiction can sometimes be boring to me. Like, nonfiction is one of those things where if I really want to learn about the topic, I will sit through just about anything. Like, I will listen to the driest of the dry, especially if it's on audio. A lot of times when I do nonfiction, I listen on audio because it feels more like a podcast or a documentary if I do it that way. Sometimes if I'm reading it physically, I'm not as engaged and I'm easily distracted. This was not what I expected. I honestly don't know what I expected, but I'll tell you right now, it wasn't this. This was so educational. It was so informative. All of the interviews, all of the chapters in this book are talking to people who are somehow involved in the industry of death and dying. We're talking about crime scene cleanup. We're talking about natural disaster relief. We're talking about embalmers, executioners, funeral home operators. It is incredibly educational. There are aspects of that industry that I never would have known about if I hadn't have read this book. And while the topic may seem morbid, I would like to applaud the author, Hayley Campbell, for dealing with such a delicate subject in a professional but compassionate way. I really loved this book. I really recommend it. If you're wanting to learn something about something that you maybe would have never thought you wanted more information about, I really do recommend All the Living and the Dead. The only DNF of the month did not finish. I did not finish What Sleeps Within the Cove, which is really surprising to me because this is book 4. This is book 4 in the Flesh and Bones series by Harper L. Woods. And I read the other 3 and I rated them very, very highly. However, I got less than a quarter of the way into this and I just gave up because it's very poorly written. Now, my assumption is that the author has kind of given up on this series. And we waited a while for book 4. It got pushed back. We got some like radio silence from the author. Nobody really knew when it was coming. The author does have another series, which I feel that she has given more precedence and attention. So I think that this series has kind of turned into the ugly stepchild for the author, and it definitely showed in the writing. It did not captivate me the same way that the first 3 did. However, I'm willing to say that if I didn't have to wait for this book, like if I could read book 1, 2, 3, 4, and supposedly there's a book 5, if I could have read them all and just binge read them, I may have been able to get through this. But because I read the first 3, I enjoyed them, and I had to wait over a year and a half for book 4. By the time I picked up book 4, it just was like, oh my gosh, this is not well written, this is not well developed, and I really don't even like the characters. So unfortunately, this was a DNF for the month. I will be recommending this book to literally everybody I know. From here on out, if someone asks me for a book recommendation, I don't even care what genre they ask for, I am going to recommend Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. I cannot tell you how incredible this book was. This is the best book that I read this month. This is the best book that I have read this year. This is probably one of the best books that I've read in a very, very, very long time. It is so good. Technically, this is science fiction. I would say even if you don't read science fiction, if you are not a science person, I'm not a science person. I am not a science person. I found this book actually fairly educational as well as engaging. This is the story of a lone astronaut who wakes up in space with amnesia. He does not know why he is there. He does not know what he is supposed to be doing. But as his memories start to come back to him, he realizes that he is there on a suicide mission to save Earth. Earth needs him to find the answer to a problem, I won't spoil it for you, in space in an interstellar suicide mission. He wakes up, he is completely alone. Or is he? This book has some of the best monologues, some of the best humor, the best writing, the best plot. It is so good, and I love, love, love the characters in this book. I have ordered both of the author's other books, The Martian and Artemis. I cannot wait to read them next month because if they are anything like Project Hail Mary, I'm sure that they are fantastic. That's it. Those are the 7 books that I read in the month of May. Let me know in the comments if you have read any of them and if you agree or disagree with what I said. I love the world of literature because there's something for everyone. If you don't agree with anything that I said, I'd love to have a dialogue about it. But remember, there's room for everyone in the book community, and I'm so glad that you guys are here. If you haven't already, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Share this if you want. I am so easy to find on social media. My handles are all the same. You can find them in the description of this episode, and I would love to connect with you on my other platforms. I will see you guys back next time. Happy reading.